Okay, so have you heard about this? This village in Wales that has decided to create a tourist attraction.
A tourist attraction.
Yeah, out of all things, potholes.
Sounds crazy, real.
Potholes, as in like the road hazards.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're so fed up with their roads, they've turned it into like this Pothole Land thing.
Oh, wow. So they're sort of reclaiming it?
Yeah. They've got a hand-painted sign that boasts about like award-winning potholes, and they're even giving tours in this red pickup truck they're calling the Pothole Tour Bus.
It's brilliant, really.
Yeah, it is. But we want to kind of dig a little deeper into this story.
Absolutely.
We've got a couple of BBC News articles about it, and, it's easy to laugh at the whole Pothole Land idea.
Right.
But behind the humor, there's like a really serious issue here.
Of course. Infrastructure problems are no joke.
Yeah, and in this deep dive, we're going to look at how this seemingly local issue connects to like some much bigger national trends and economic realities.
So I guess where we should start is with like, why are the roads so bad in this village in the first place?
Well, one of the articles introduces us to a few residents who are dealing with the consequences every day. And their stories are really eye-opening.
Yeah, like what are some of the things they're saying?
So one resident, Russell Kirk, he lives at the top of one of the worst lanes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and he describes it as like treacherous.
Wow.
Yeah, he says garbage collection is even affected because the trucks can't get up there.
Oh, wow. That's so inconvenient.
It is. But it's more than just an inconvenience. It's affecting people's livelihoods, their sense of community.
Yeah.
One resident was quoted saying, "We are cut off from life, forgotten about."
That's a powerful statement, forgotten about.
Right.
What about other residents? What are they saying?
So there's this guy, Ed Rayner. He describes every drive as an expedition.
An expedition.
And then there's Jan Gilchrist, who lives further down the valley. She can't even get deliveries because of the road.
Well,
And forget about visitors. Nobody wants to come visit.
Yeah.
Even simple trips, she says, take like 3 times as long as they should.
it's wild how something as basic as roads can have such a big impact.
It really is.
It makes you think about, like, we pay our taxes. Where's all the money going?
Right. That's what Jan Gilchrist asks.
Yeah.
She says, we pay our taxes. What are we getting? If basic infrastructure, like roads, is being neglected, then what are people getting for their tax dollars?
Right.
It's a question that I think a lot of people have.
Yeah, for sure.
And it points to a larger issue, like underfunding,
Yeah.
a lack of prioritization when it comes to infrastructure.
Right.
Yeah.
And it sounds like this isn't just a problem in this one village.
Oh, absolutely not.
One of the articles cites this 2024 survey by the Asphalt Industry Alliance.
Okay.
And it says that local road conditions across England and Wales are at an all-time low. Like, to fix the current backlog of repairs would cost £16 billion.
16 billion pounds.
Yeah, that's not a typo.
It's a massive figure, and it makes you wonder, why has the backlog gotten so large? Like, is it purely a matter of funding, or are there other things at play?
Yeah, it does make you wonder, is there inefficiencies in the way repairs are handled, a lack of long-term planning?
Exactly.
Because throwing money at the problem without addressing the root cause might not be the best way to go.
Yeah, you need to look beyond the symptoms and understand the underlying issues.
Right.
Now, the article does highlight some challenges that local authorities are facing.
Okay.
They use the example of Flintshire.
Okay.
That's the county next to Wrexham where this village is.
Okay.
And the lead counselor for road maintenance there said that their budget is less than half of what they actually need just to keep the roads in decent shape.
Less than half. Wow, that's a huge gap. It sounds like they're fighting an uphill battle. But is increasing funding the answer?
Right.
Or are there more innovative solutions?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something we should explore further. I mean, Flintshire, for example, they've invested in a Pothole Pro machine that's supposed to speed up repairs. So even with limited resources, they're trying to find ways to be more efficient.
Yeah. I see their point, but is a Pothole Pro machine just a Band-Aid solution? Like, it might address the immediate problem, but shouldn't we be looking at more durable road materials and long-term solutions?
That's a very valid concern.
Yeah, like investing in higher quality materials up front, even if it's more expensive initially, might be more cost-effective in the long run.
Potentially.
It's about thinking strategically, not just reacting to today's problem.
Precisely. And speaking of costs, we can't forget the economic impact that potholes have.
Yeah.
It's not just about the inconvenience, it's about the financial burden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the damage to our cars. I've definitely hit my fair share of potholes and felt that in my wallet afterward.
Oh, yeah. The AA, the Automobile Association, estimates that pothole damage repairs cost UK drivers £579 million in 2024 alone.
Wow.
And get this, they attended over 600,000 pothole-related breakdowns last year.
That's a lot of people stranded on the side of the road, all because of something that, in theory, should be preventable.
Exactly. It really shows you just how connected infrastructure and the economy are. You know, bad roads lead to car damage, which is more business for mechanics.
Sure.
But it also disrupts commutes and deliveries and all sorts of other economic activities.
And it's not just individual drivers and businesses that are affected.
Think about the cost to local governments, too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Repairing all those potholes can't be cheap. And like we said earlier, their budgets are already stretched thin. So what's the solution here?
Well, the residents of Pontfedog seem to think they've found it.
Right, with the whole pothole land.
Yeah. It's like they've turned this frustration into like entrepreneurial activism. They've created this spectacle.
Yeah.
And it's attracting attention to their problem.
And maybe boosting their local economy a bit. I mean, it makes you think, could this be a model for other communities?
It's a really interesting thought. Like, could we see other towns and villages adopting this if you can't beat them, join them approach?
Right. Like imagine Graffiti Grove in a neighborhood dealing with vandalism. Or Litter Lagoon to highlight trash. It's, like you said, reclaiming the narrative.
Exactly. Using humor and creativity to expose these issues that might otherwise just get ignored.
Yeah, it's way more engaging than just like a standard petition or complaint letter. I mean, it's definitely gotten my attention. We're talking about it on a national level. So they've tapped into something powerful.
They have.
But is it enough to actually create change?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can they translate all this publicity into concrete action from the council?
Right, because so far the council has declined to comment.
It's true. Silence can be deafening. But do you think this could actually work? Like, could humor and this spectacle be enough to get those potholes filled?
It's possible, right? They've definitely brought the issue to the forefront.
They have. It's hard to ignore something when it's being talked about on national news and social media. You know, it puts pressure on the council to respond, even if it's just to defend their inaction.
Yeah, nobody wants to be known as the place with the worst roads. But is this just a temporary fix? Like, will they just patch a few potholes to appease the residents and then just go back to business as usual?
It's a valid concern. And it kind of brings us to a bigger point about local governance and their responsiveness to citizen concerns.
Right. Are they really listening to what people need? I mean, we saw with Flintshire, their budget is super strained. They can barely keep up with basic maintenance.
Right. And their solution is this Pothole Pro machine to make repairs more efficient. But like we talked about earlier, is that just a short-term fix?
Yeah, it feels like a Band-Aid on a much deeper wound. It might work for now, but what about the long-term health of the infrastructure?
It comes down to prioritizing preventative maintenance and investing in durable solutions, not just reacting to every crisis that pops up.
And that requires a shift in thinking, right, looking beyond the immediate budget constraints and thinking about the long-term costs of inaction.
Absolutely.
And it requires engaging with the community, understanding what they need, and working together to find solutions.
Yeah.
I mean, the residents of Pontfedog have shown that they're willing to do that. Remember Ed Rayner? He said they would even help fix the potholes if the council just provided the material.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's amazing. It shows this real community spirit and this desire to be part of the solution. It goes beyond just complaining. They want to make things better.
Yeah, it's inspiring for sure.
It makes you think, what could be accomplished if this kind of collaboration was happening everywhere?
Yeah.
What if communities and local governments work together on these infrastructure problems in a more proactive way, in a more innovative way?
The possibilities are really exciting, but it also reminds us of the challenges we face. Because the underfunding of essential infrastructure isn't limited to roads.
Right. It's a bigger problem that affects schools, hospitals, public transportation.
Everything. And the consequences, they go way beyond just inconvenience. It impacts our economy, our health, and the environment, our quality of life.
So as we head into the final part of our deep dive, I think we should shift our focus from the local to the national.
Okay.
Let's explore these bigger implications of this chronic underfunding and what it means for our society as a whole. We started with the potholes of Pontfedog, but it feels like we have uncovered a much bigger story.
We have. It's a story about the foundations of our society.
It's about infrastructure,
Yeah.
And what happens when it starts to crumble?
Infrastructure underpins everything we do.
Exactly. It's the roads we drive on the power grids that keep our lights on.
The hospitals we rely on, the schools our children attend.
And what we saw in Pompidog, this creative plea for help, it's really a symptom of a much bigger issue.
A symptom of chronic underfunding.
And it's happening everywhere. It's not just roads. It's schools, hospitals, public transport, you name it.
We talked about the economic costs.
Yeah, the damage to vehicles, businesses struggling.
But the consequences are much deeper than that.
Right. Like, think about it. If emergency services can't get to people quickly because of bad roads, lives are at stake.
If schools have to close because of leaky roofs, kids' education suffers.
Exactly. What if public transport is unreliable? People can't get to work. They can't go shopping. They can't participate in their communities.
It creates a ripple effect that touches everything.
And often it's the most vulnerable people who are hit the hardest.
Absolutely. Those with means might find workarounds. But for those who can't, the consequences can be devastating.
This is about more than just inconvenience.
It's about equity. It's about social justice.
Everyone deserves access to safe, reliable infrastructure, no matter where they live or how much money they make.
It's about investing in our collective future.
Creating a more resilient, sustainable, and equitable society.
Exactly.
But it feels like we're always playing catch-up. We wait for things to break, and then we try to fix them.
Instead of investing in preventative maintenance and long-term planning.
We need to shift our thinking. We can't keep kicking the can down the road.
Right. Think of it like maintaining a car. It's cheaper to get regular oil changes than to wait for the engine to blow up.
Same with infrastructure. We need to move away from this short-term thinking and embrace a long-term vision.
We need sustainable funding models, collaboration between policymakers, engineers, community leaders.
We need to all work together. The people of Pontfedog showed us what can happen when a community comes together.
They used humor and creativity to highlight a problem. And they didn't stop there. They're willing to be part of the solution.
That willingness to roll up their sleeves and actually help fix those potholes, it's inspiring.
It is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I hope you're left feeling empowered.
I hope so too.
Don't be afraid to speak up, to demand better, to get involved in shaping your community.
The quality of our infrastructure reflects our values as a society.
Let's work together to create a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. And maybe a little humor along the way can make the journey a bit smoother.